I'm Jordan Weber, and I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about effective district instruction. I'm going to pretend that I'm the assistant superintendent here in New Hanover County Schools, and I'm going to tell you what I think are the 6 components to effective district instruction. First, I want to talk about effective leadership, and that starts with me at the assistant superintendent level. I need to make sure that I am very familiar with the curriculum and the instruction that is involved in our schools. That means that I need to be very knowledgeable, as Dayton Public Schools puts it, in knowing the Common Core state standards. So one of the positives that we saw in Dayton Public Schools is that the administration really had a good understanding of what the standards were. They were able to help and lead the teachers and the principals in the school, as opposed to just tell them what the standards were. So we need to make sure that our superintendents, our principals, are leading in the field and not following others in other states. So we want to make sure that we have active leadership that involves strategic planning, as Marizano and Waters puts it. We want to make sure that school leaders and the community understand what the Common Core and the state standards are. Superintendents will monitor actively and supervise the implementation of the Common Core state standards. We want to make sure that we're giving support to our administrators in the schools, and that we're continually monitoring to make sure that they are accountable for those standards. Leaders have clear expectations for teachers, and teachers understand what effective instruction is. So we want to make sure that teachers understand what the Common Core state standards are. We want to give them the resources and the tools to help them be successful in the classroom. There will be a collaborative, non-negotiable goal set in place concerning the curriculum. So we want to make sure that the community understands, the stakeholders understand that we can't change the curriculum, and we want to make sure that everyone is positive about it. We want to make sure that if there are people that are against it, that they have a chance to collaborate and at least get their point across before us in implementing the standards. The second component of effective district instruction is making sure that we have a unified and common goals, and that we communicate this effectively with our stakeholders. So clear and common goals such as the CCSS will help district move toward a problem-solving focus. As Waters and Marizano put it, we want to make sure that we're heightening our cognitive abilities of our students, and we want to make sure that everyone's well aware of the shifts in the Common Core state standards. Problems in the classroom can be minimalized by making parents feel they and the teacher are part of the same team. So we want to make sure that everyone feels as though they're on the same team, and they can work together in implementing homework strategies, classroom activities as well. All stakeholders understand the purpose and the objectives of the Common Core state standards, so making sure that everyone has resources, instructional tools, and giving communities and schools that need the most support the support that they need. We want to make sure there's collaborative goal setting to ensure all stakeholders are comfortable applying these goals, and so we do want to give the community a chance to tell us what they think of the curriculum and how they can have an input in the curriculum. Standards are clear to all stakeholders, including parents, children, teachers, and administration, as Thompson put it, to make sure that everyone is on the same page and that there isn't any underlying issues we need to worry about before continuing on. The goals for carrying out an assessment should be clarified first before embarking on the process. So as Washington said it in 2012, we want to make sure that they understand the process before going about assessments. Third component of effective district instruction here is data analysis, guides instruction. So we want to make sure that we're embedding our instruction with formative assessments throughout the beginning and the middle and all the way to the end of the year until we get to the summative assessment. So the district will continuously collect data with a purpose to guide curriculum, assessment, and instruction. We want to make sure that the administration will collect data that is relevant to student learning, and with this information, they will create plans that will measure progress. Meltzer and Phillips was very interested in the administration's process to collect data, and it's very important that the administration is collecting data and getting the grades from the schools, because we want to have a transparent system so we can compare, contrast, help different counties out if they need it, help schools out, looking at counties that are doing well, and then maybe having those counties meet with the counties that aren't doing well, and that way we can have effective strategies for the data analysis. The system frequently assesses and regularly monitors school performance and uses the results to provide timely assistance and appropriate resources to improve all schools. So we want to make sure that all schools get the resources they need through the data that they give to us. We want to identify potential reading difficulties before they fail. Again, talking about the embedded assessments and making sure that each school and each county has a form of assessment that works for them, that is relevant for the school. And then lastly, we want to continually monitor progress of the school and student achievement. As Marizano and Waters put it, we want to make sure that we're giving a chance for all students to be successful. The fourth component I'm going to talk about today is high quality instruction. We want to make sure there's micro teaching, positive student-teacher relationships. We want the teachers to notice if the students are learning. And if they're not noticing that they're learning, there needs to be effective strategies to either intervene or restart the lesson. Some teachers will go over the lesson. Some teachers will change their lesson dramatically just so their students will get it. So we want high quality instruction. In order to have high quality instruction, you need high quality teachers. So since teaching effectiveness is measurable, we want to make sure that, like we said before, we're being accountable with our administration, checking the results and the achievement results of our schools and our teachers. We want to have well-informed educators through job embedding professional development. So we don't want to leave them out of the loop. We want to make sure that they're involved in the leadership programs, they're involved in curriculum strategy programming, and also learning how to implement instructional tools in the classroom. Planning with a purpose, as Holm mentioned in our Blackboard studies, that we want to make sure that we're planning for a purpose. It's also talked about in leverage leadership, that each plan that we have has a purpose. Without perfect planning, you can't have a perfect lesson. So instruction is relevant, objectives are clear, and goals are met. And so we want to make sure we're accountable, that we are making sure that instruction is relevant to the students, that it's culturally relevant, it's socially relevant, and that it's effective. And lastly, alignment of support distributed to student learning. And we want to make sure that the students and the teachers that need the most support get the most support. The fifth component is effective teaching support strategies. So along with having effective teachers, you got to give the teachers what they need. And so a consensus of effective teaching strategies to help create pacing guides for instruction relevant to schools is very important, as Holmes mentioned in the Blackboard studies. We want to make sure that it's relevant, like we mentioned before, and we want to make sure that differentiated instructional strategies include student self-reporting of grades. And we know that through John Hattie's framework, that if students are involved with their own grades, they're going to be more successful in student achievement. Schools, teachers, and students with the highest needs will receive the most support, making sure, like I said, effective teaching strategies are reaching the students and the teachers especially with what they need. Professional development is relevant to district goals. Schools receive needed supplies, and intensive, consistent leadership development and support from district to the teachers. And then what we can do as a district is allocate the money to effective teaching strategy resources, and this can go into PowerPoint strategies, iPads in the classroom, and computers. So making sure that the teachers have the support they need to be effective teachers. Last thing I want to touch on before we get to the last PowerPoint slide is healthy students. And in my Preschool essay, I talked a little bit about how health is academic. And we looked at William Northrup's book, and I read a book called Health is Academic, and it talks about how school measures of statistics of students with physical and health education programs actually benefited through achieving different and higher scores. So I want to mention that students who are given free breakfast at school have higher academic achievement compared to those who come without one in elementary school. In John Hattie's model, it says that diet isn't an important factor, but some of the research I read in some of the schools that it talked about effective coordinated school health program showed that diet was important, so it did go a little reverse there. Physical education does not take away from learning, so if we're taking off of math class or English class or literacy courses for a physical education, we're not seeing a drop off in learning. That's one of the things that Murray, Cross, and Davis talked about in their article, was that physical education does not take away from learning. The coordinated school health program serves a purpose for the community. So I want to make sure that we implement the coordinated school health program, that we have a coordinated school health program director, and that they work with all the schools and making sure that all schools are healthy. So I want to make sure that our students are not only academically achieving the goals that they want to accomplish, but I want to make sure that they have health goals as well. I want teachers to be on board. I want to have a healthy community because I really want learning to be pushed through a healthy way of living. And lastly, physical education increases student performance, which was proven in a couple studies done by Woolley and Northrop. The last thing I'm going to talk about today is John Hattie's model that we talked about in the Blackboard discussion. And without these, we definitely need to think about this as we go on to effective district instruction. And that is student goal setting and self-directed learning. We learned that students that achieve goals and that self-direct themselves have a higher chance at student performance. Early interventions in preschool programs, we know evidence-based strategies and interventions at an early age really improve the learning habits of children, especially with disabilities. We want to make sure that we have rigorous vocabulary programs from K to 12. We want to make sure that they're ready for college, they're ready for their career after high school. Teacher-student relationships. So again, you can never combat, you can never have a bad student relationship with a teacher. We want to make sure that the students and the teachers are working together and that we don't have any issues there, because that's the most important aspect of teaching, is that relationship. Strong professional development programs. So we want to make sure that our teachers are equipped with professional development programs that are relevant to what they're teaching and stuff that they can use in the classroom immediately, not just programs that we take them to and waste money and then they go back and they just think that it wasn't that big of a deal. And lastly, we want to eliminate retention. So we don't want to hold students back, because we're seeing that it actually decreases their achievement. And that's some of John Hattie's model of achievement patterns for children that I want to talk about as well. And here are my resources: Fisher and Fry, Love in 2012, Holmes 2015, Kane, Taylor, Tyler, Wooten in 2011, Marks and Northrop in 1998, Mombork, Bedford in 2014, Murray, Lowe, Hollis, Christine, Cross, Davis in 2007, Thompson in 2003, Marizano and Waters in 2006, and Gerald in 2012. That concludes my presentation on effective district instruction. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something today, and I hope that we can get this district back to where we're wanting it to be. Thanks a lot.